You do realize that on the Charter of Rights in Canada,
Cops is here.
I understand.
And you have to talk to them. It's not on my hand now.
Yeah, but you're the one that blocked me. You didn't let me leave. The
You
Charter of Rights, I have rights.
Sir, you have to talk to them.
I'm talking to you.
You have to talk to them.
They're not the ones that
are here.
They are not the ones that refuse to let me leave.
It's up
You
to them.
did.
And
You
Health
did.
Canada, not me. Health Canada.
Well, what you're doing is illegal.
No,
You're
ask Health
illegally
Canada.
detaining
You
me.
have to talk with Health Canada.
I have a right to leave, and you refuse to let me out.
You have to talk to Health Canada.
I will.
You kidnapped the guy. I don't think you need to answer to me.
Okay.
So who do you need to answer to?
I answer to the federal government. My boss.
So call your boss. I want to talk to him.
I did it.
So I want to talk to him.
We're waiting for the
Very good. Very nice.
It's scary to think that in a country like Canada, they can get away with these tactics, these scare tactics, illegally confining people, detaining people, and put them into prisons. I mean, we're going back to the days of the KGB. We're literally going back to communist times where the people have no say in it, and the government just going to control you and do whatever they want.
Well, folks, here's a story about a border crossing that defies belief. My guest is Shmarya Plotkin. He is a salesman and also a volunteer paramedic, and for more than 20 years now, he's been making the crossing by car from Montreal into New York State, and usually it's no muss, no fuss. But earlier this month, something went off the rails. Suddenly, Shmarya was crossing back into Canada from New York State, had an encounter with the border guard, was asked if he had anything to declare. He had a few boxes of pasta that he bought in New York State, maybe $15 or $16 of retail value. And then, well, things started to go sideways big time, so much so that suddenly Mr. Plotkin found himself in one of those notorious and infamous quarantine hotels in his home city. Unbelievable. So, Shmarya, please correct me if I have any of the details wrong. You were crossing back into Canada from New York State, and it looked like a guard was having, a really bad day, perhaps?
I spent about 22 hours in the hotel before I decided that I had enough being taken advantage of by the government, and I decided to leave on my own.
I understand.
And you have to talk to them. It's not on my hand now.
Yeah, but you're the one that blocked me. You didn't let me leave. The Charter of Rights, I have rights.
Sir, you have to talk to them.
I'm talking to you.
You have to talk to them.
They're not the ones
that
are
here.
They are not the ones that refuse to let me leave.
It's up
You
to them.
did.
And
You
Health
did.
Canada, not me. Health Canada.
Well, what you're doing is illegal.
No,
You're
ask Health
illegally
Canada.
detaining
You
me.
have to talk with Health Canada.
I have a right to leave, and you refuse to let me out.
You have to talk to Health Canada.
I will.
And this is the thing, though. I think whoever coined the phrase "honesty is the best policy" must have been smoking something, because the guard asked you if you had anything to declare. You said the pasta. It was a very nominal amount. And that seemed to trigger an investigation. And then when they decided that you must go to the quarantine hotel, you asked, can I stop by my house for a change of clothing or food or go to a 7-Eleven? They said, absolutely not. You must go right to the quarantine hotel. And given what you were given as a meal later on, wow, you really had buyer's regret following through on that promise, because you get to the hotel, and even that was a bit of a fiasco. You go to the front desk, and what did the staff tell you there?
There's been a lot said about these quote-unquote hotels, the secret hotels. It sounds like out of a novel of Eastern Europe in communist times. And I actually lived in Eastern Europe for a while, so I can understand it. But to expect it somewhere here in Canada, when they send you to a hotel, which is a Sheraton hotel, it's a luxury hotel, it's not, a 2-star hotel, and you walk in by mistake to the reception area where the general guests go, and you ask the receptionist, where is the quarantine part of the hotel? And they have no idea what you're talking about. And they thought it was a mistake. And I said, no, I was sent here by Health Canada. And they told me, well, I'm sorry, but our hotel is not participating in this program. And then I started having second thoughts that maybe there is something to these conspiracies. So I said, okay. I said, is there another Sheraton here? Is this the correct address? And they said, yes. And I'm looking at my paper, and this is what they gave me. This is where they told me to go. And so I called the number on the paper, and I spoke to the actual officer at the site. And he asked me where I am. I told him where I am. And he said, okay, just continue going about 20, 30 feet. You're going to see a sign that says parking number 2. It's a gated parking lot with a guard there. And so I did what he told me to do. And lo and behold, I ended up at the back end of the hotel, where the employees usually park their cars, where none of the guests usually go. They had that whole part of the hotel completely closed off from the rest of the hotel. And it was just being run by security guards and bureaucrats and quote unquote, from the health department, for Health Canada and everything. And I was thinking to myself, how is it possible such a big hotel like this, and the Health Canada is taking over part of the hotel, and the employees of the hotel and the reception area have no idea that this is even going on in the hotel?
That's indeed the question I had for you. I mean, how is it possible that the hotel staff didn't understand that part of their hotel is a federal quarantine facility? How could you not notice that? How could they not be informed of that? And because at the end of the day, this was indeed the correct hotel. And you said earlier that it was a 4-star hotel, but the room you got wasn't quite 4-star-ish, I understand?
And I stayed in so many different hotels. I would probably rate that room somewhere between a 1 and 1.5.
Once you were in your room, were you given instructions? What we've heard from other people, you can't leave the room. You can't order out for your own food, using services like DoorDash or Uber Eats or what have you. You have to take what's given. And of course, that right off the bat, there's a complication. First of all, you're very hungry. You haven't eaten for the whole day. And secondly, you keep to a kosher diet. So when you told them of your dietary restrictions, what ended up coming to your room?
Okay, so they made it very clear that, because I asked them about kosher food, they said you will be provided everything you need. You'll get kosher food, you'll get utensils, whatever you need. You cannot bring any clothing, you cannot make any pit stops on the way. You got to go directly there. When I arrived there, they gave me a pamphlet from Health Canada, from St. John Ambulance, and it specifically said, I regret that I did not take it with me. That would have been really good script for a comedy, for some type of a comedy show. They said basically that you can use the Wi-Fi, you can use your phone, you can use a computer, but you are not allowed to post anything on social media of the site for security reasons. And you are not to, and you should, I don't know if they said you were forbidden, but they basically said you should not disclose which location you're at and where you are at for security reasons and for safety reasons.
What does that even mean? I mean, are they worried that people are going to come and break you out? There's really nothing, as far as we can tell, that mandate that you have to stay in them. We did a story last month, a fellow called Duray who came back to Toronto with his father. He was put up at the Radisson Hotel near the airport in Toronto. And at one point they got so fed up. He had dietary restrictions too. He was a vegan. So his vegan meal consisted of a slice of bread, some jam, and an orange. That was his entire dinner. And that was the breaking point. They had a friend call an Uber for them. They just waltzed out of the hotel. Everybody was saying, stop in the name of the law. You can't do this. But they did it. Nobody got physical with them. And I think at one point, you reached that point as well, didn't you? Really poor meal that you were served that would, barely fill a budgie's belly. The fact that the room itself was uncontrollably hot, you were telling me off camera. And at one point, I guess you said, that's it, I'm out of here. And as I understand it, you actually called the police because you wanted it to be known that I am, well, effectively being forcibly confined and I'm leaving, which is my right.
Okay, so what are you saying, man? First I called the police department to come. Thank you very much. Very
There'll be
good.
2 cars coming.
Yes.
Until they come, nobody's going in, nobody's leaving. So you can
What's your power to hold?
Nobody can go inside if
But
they're
you
not
have,
authorized.
but you have police powers?
Actually, we have quarantine agents who authorize people to go in. I was asked by the Public Agency of Canada to manage the activities on the site. They give me guidelines. The guidelines are that only people who are under quarantine can come into this building.
So then said, so what power, like you're not a police officer, you can't detain me. Or he's not a police officer.
Detaining anyone.
My friend is in here detained.
Okay.
Illegally.
That is one way to see it.
It's not one way.
Okay.
I told you the law, the order in council says that if somebody passes a land border, and I'm going to show it to you now.
So I'm not here to argue.
You're not here to argue with me. So you don't even have to, you kidnap the guy, I don't think you need to answer to me.
Okay.
So who do you need to answer to?
I answer to the federal government.
So
I answer to my boss.
So call your boss. I want to talk to him.
I did.
So I want to talk to him.
We're waiting for the police.
Very good, very nice. Okay, so I'll go my car. It's cold in my hands. I'm going to wait in the car until the police comes. Okay? Thank you very much.
How did your interaction with the police go?
Okay, so what happened was it got to a point where I got my results back. I was according to their rules, not according to the law, because there was very little that they were doing according to the law, but legally. But according to their rules, once I got a test result of negative, I was allowed to go home. That's according to their rules. By that point, I had enough already. I was hungry. I was tired. I wanted to go home to my family. And I was in contact with I wouldn't call him an activist, but he's very connected politically, and he's very connected government and politics. And he told me, absolutely, you should not be there. You don't belong there. You have to get out of there. And they cannot hold you there because they have no grounds to hold you there. And at that point, he said, I'm coming to get you. 15 minutes later, he called me. He told me the police are here and just walk out. I tried to walk out. I was physically blocked. There was no physical contact. They did not do anything physical to me. I want to make that very clear. But they did physically stand in front of me and block me. And as I started advancing, they started walking backwards because they were afraid that I was just going to run them right down. And it got to a point where the police walked in and they interacted, they got involved. Explained them my story. I told them I have every right to leave here. They're holding me against my will. They're literally illegally detaining me here, and I have every right to leave, and I am gonna leave. And it got to a point where the officer told me, okay, if you want to leave, leave. The big security guard was a 7-foot guy who was standing in front of the door. He stepped aside, he opened the door, he let me leave. What I did find out after was that my friend contacted the Montreal Police Department and told them that there's somebody being held. I don't know if he used the term kidnapping or hostage taking or what, but he said that there is somebody being held against his will. He's being illegally detained in a hotel. So when I walked out of the hotel, I was greeted by about 6 or 7 police cars. There must have been about 15 police officers. There was an ambulance there, which they usually do in situations of kidnappings, because usually people, get hurt. So they had an ambulance, they had a paramedic car with a doctor in there. And there was a French TV station there waiting for me as I walked out. And I realized that he said, if we're going to do this, we have to show Health Canada that they can't get away with this. So we have to make as much noise as possible. So then it dawned on me why there were so many police cars there. And because I was only dealing with 2 police officers. When I came out, there was about 12 of them, 15 of them there. And there was 3-4 police cars at the front entrance of the hotel. There were 2 or 3 police cars in the back of the hotel where the quarantine center was. And I just walked out of there, and they threatened to penalize me $3,000 if I walk out. I told the police officer, let them send me a ticket, let them penalize me. This is totally illegal. And if I told the officer, you want to arrest me, you want to try to stop me, go right ahead. But I'm walking out this door. And before you know it, they just looked at me in disbelief, and I just walked out.
Well, I'm glad it had a happy ending such as it was. And as you know, we have a little thing called fightthefines.com, Shmarya. So if you do indeed get a ticket in the mail or personally delivered to you, you know who to come to in terms of legal representation, because I personally think this is absolutely egregious. You are a law-abiding, honest businessman. You have crossed that bridge so many times in 24 years, including several times during this pandemic. And to be treated like you're a modern day Typhoid Mary is just absolutely outrageous. So in summary, in less than 30 seconds, if you were to give anyone advice coming back into Canada via vehicle in terms of dealing with the authorities, what would you tell them?
My family's been in Canada for over 117 years. We've been in Canada. I'm fourth generation Canadian. They ran away from Eastern Europe because of reasons like this. It's scary to think that in a country like Canada, they can get away with these tactics, these scare tactics, illegally confining people, detaining people, and put them into prisons. I mean, we're going back to the days of the KGB. We're literally going back to communist times where the people have no say in it, and the government just going to control you and do whatever they want.
Well said. And Shmarya, you're absolutely right. Who would have ever dreamed that in 2021 Canada, it would feel like Eastern Europe of yesterdecade, but more and more, that's what it's feeling like. Thank you so much, my friend, for spending some time to tell us your story, and happy trails to you.
Thank you very much, David. I really appreciate it. And good luck to everyone, and be well and stay safe.
Well, folks, time will tell if any of these protesters get one of those $880 Wuhan virus tickets. But if you are someone who has received such a citation, let us know about it. Go to fightthefines.com. That's fightthefines.com. We'll pick up your case. We'll put you in touch with a top criminal lawyer. We'll crowdfund your legal fees, and we'll get justice for you.